Hello, mouse fans. I'm the PC Expert Amateur, and we're going to take a look at the Porlei or Porlei. I'm not really sure how to pronounce it. Trackball. It's been quite some time since I've had a trackball. I've been looking for one for quite a while now. This is the TM551, and it comes in two models. This is the model with the pink ball and the kind of blue-green or green-blue coloration, almost like a dark teal, maybe, but I don't think so. And it has a very long cable. It also comes with a USB-C to USB-A adapter that's tethered onto it. And the other one, I'm not sure what the body color is, but the ball is green. And had I seen that one first, I would have gotten that one instead, because I'm not really a fan of pink, and I love green and blue and red and yellow and orange. Yeah, except for, most colors. I especially not light colors so much, but there are some exceptions, and not really pastels either. So you can see from this that there are some amenities here. We've got some anti-skate things on here, and you can remove the trackball by pushing your finger through the hole. And why would you want to remove the trackball? Well, in the old days, when I was young, every mouse used a ball, and the ball was sitting in a socket in here, and it was held in place by a collar. So only just a small amount, maybe that diameter, was exposed to the desk. And over time, it would accumulate sweat and oil and skin and dust, and it would get clogged up, and eventually it would get to the point where you'd have to take it apart whether you wanted to or not. And there'd be this ring of grime all the way around it. So you should be happy that we have optical mice now that don't use a ball. This one isn't as bad as a mouse ball, but still, there are 3 contact points that help to, or actually retention points, that help to keep it in. And you can see them there. There are those 3 little points of white. They're actually metal. And those prevent the ball from coming out unless you push it out through the bottom. And that is where the majority of the gunk will accumulate, on those 3 points. It's not difficult to clean. It's very, very easy, actually. You don't even have to do anything special. You can just take your finger and go, and it'll come off, or you can use a swab or a tissue or whatever. Now, as far as the buttons are concerned, it has the typical buttons. It has the mouse wheel. It has the DPI button with, I think it's 801. Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Let me make sure I am not telling a lie to you. 200, 400, 800, 1200, and 1600 DPI. Now, for me, 200 and 400 are a bit on the slow side. 800 is nice, except for when I'm trying to do something that requires some precision. My thumb is not very precise anymore. Plus, I've got arthritis in this joint here, so it's even less precise. And so if I use 800, it's okay. But if I have to do something precise, I have to reduce it to 400, which is slow to move around the screen. Not as bad as 200, granted, but still. And then there's the 1200 and 1600. I like that they have such a wide range from 200 to 1600. I think that's very sensible. Unlike most mouses over there that go down to maybe, at best, 600, but more often 800 is the bottom. This is, of course, as you've noticed, wired. And the cable length is 1.8 meters. So 1.8 meters is about 6 feet. Now, I don't know what the little the little hole is underneath the DPI button. There is no explanation for it. Maybe there's a microphone hiding in there. I just don't know. And I just don't feel interested in taking this apart, because that would require taking off the rubber pads and so on and so forth. But these buttons over here, if you take a look, you'll notice that they are slanted and in different directions. And I like that, because when you move your finger over here, you can very easily feel them. Rather than them being flush with the case, they stick out and they make it a lot easier for you to push on them. And since this one is much higher, the forward one is much higher than the backward one, you really can easily, with just your finger, know which one you need to press. And I think that it was a very clever decision. Also, the surface, even though, just like the Red Dragon keyboard that I reviewed, the surface, it feels soft even though it is not soft. It is a hard surface, but the finish that they put on here makes it feel good, sensual, seductive. Well, maybe not seductive, but it feels really nice. And because it's as long as this and as wide as this, most people's hands will fit. And unlike most mouses and trackballs, because of its great size, and you're thinking, but it's too big. Well, if you think about it, the only part that has to move are the buttons, the scroll wheel, and the ball. The bottom doesn't move. You don't go like this. So if you have a small space like that, if that's all the space you've got, that's all the space you need. That is the thing that I love about trackballs, is that you can use a small space and be comfortable. But because of this massive size compared to this is and the surface and the wonderful idea about the buttons here, this is possibly the most comfortable trackball I've ever used. It fits my width, it fits my length, and it supports my entire hand, unlike other trackballs that I've had where it supported part of my hand. On the side, not so much. On the back, the heel of the palm, not so much. And then there were others that there are, and I'll get into this in a moment, that were even smaller. They were very narrow, and I did not care for that design. All right, so I'm going to go to my script now before I start saying too much or forgetting things. Do you have very little space or no stable space for a mouse? There's no better way to save space than to have a mouse with the moving part on top instead of the bottom. A trackball. The challenge is, are your fine motor skills with your fingers, or more specifically, your thumb, good enough to use a device like this? Trackballs come in two basic ideas. I think it's idea, yeah. Thumb or finger. Both have pros and cons. For me, a thumb ball is a problem because I have arthritis in my thumb, so my fine motor control isn't as great as it used to be. So you can sometimes see it's just kind of wiggling on the cursor's wiggling on the screen. However, I can mitigate that problem somewhat by decreasing the DPI with the button, which has 5 settings. The downside of this is that the cursor moves around much more slowly than I'd like in the first 2 settings, but I have no choice if I don't want to be frustrated. Again, this is my thumb's problem, not the trackball. So you'll want to test one out at a store if you can. The other big con of a trackball is, like the old mouses that used a ball instead of optics only, you have to clean the ball and socket, primarily the 3 retention bumps where all the sweat and oil will accumulate. With balled mouses, it was more cumbersome than trackballs because it's easier to remove the ball from the socket with a trackball than with a mouse. That said, trackballs are not particularly suitable for games. I can't articulate exactly why, but I've used many trackballs of both types, and I always felt that they were too imprecise. I can play, but with my handicap of having to slow down DPI to compensate for the wobble, I can't do that well except for positions where I don't need to move a lot, like sniping. So like earlier, I was testing this playing a game in Roblox called Black Hawk Down, and I was doing great. It was a little bit wiggly as I was trying to aim at somebody, but in general, this was easier for me to snipe with than my favorite mouse. However, as soon as somebody came close enough that it was melee combat, however you want to say it, then I was in trouble because my DPI was set to 400 and I couldn't move it fast enough to keep up with the movement of the NPC that was coming at me. So I took a lot of damage. Anyways, I love the design. It fits my hand perfectly. The tactile sensation is sensuous, and it is long and wide enough for most hand sizes. I think this is one of the best hand designs I've felt in a long time, although sweaty people will need grip tape on it. The raised and angled forward-backward browsing buttons are a nice touch. The DPI button doesn't get in the way. Another benefit of this trackball is that you're not moving your wrist around in ways that do damage to it over time. This is what I'd say is an accidental ergonomic benefit of stationary pointing devices that support the whole hand. This is because of the ball and the fact that most hand sizes will rest completely on the device. There are other trackballs, as I've mentioned, that don't provide that much space for the hand, and therefore may cause you to use your wrist in ways you should not be using them. Also, depending on where the ball is, there are unergonomic consequences that way too. There is some bad news specific to this dark blue-green device, which, by the way, has a choice of pink or green ball. Number one, the wheel button does not allow you to do a control left click, open a link in a new tab, in other words. And in fact, there is no software to program anything about it aside from the mouse settings in control panel. Now, I know that there are other companies such as Logitech, and there was another one, the name that escapes me now, that do provide software so that you can program the buttons, but this one, you can't do anything about it. There's certainly nothing in the control panel for mouses. Number two, although the instructions say that clicking the wheel button and right button at the same time will turn off the light strip, which, by the way, is right here, I find this to not be true. I tried all of the buttons with the wheel button and without as well, and nothing worked. There is no way to control the lights at all. It doesn't matter to me, but maybe some people won't like that. So three, if lighting is important to you, the lighting will either entrance you because it has an almost opal pattern or irritate you because of the pattern and total lack of control. And finally, number four, the two browsing buttons aren't compatible with Mac OS, or more precisely, Apple hasn't made them compatible because it has a phobia about more than one button on a mouse. How dumb. Trackballs are nice. I used to love them. Using them, except when I gamed, and then it depended on the game and the particular trackball I had. I have seen other types of trackballs than the two I've mentioned, thumb and finger. But one is for professionals and is extremely expensive. I mean, hundreds of dollars, and the other is extremely rare. Even the fingerball one isn't that common. And I just remembered there's another one where it's got a ring, and you put it on your finger, and then you use your thumb. So it's just something that sits on your hand, on your finger, like a big old ring with an ugly round thing on it. So, but, I don't even know the last time I've seen one of those. I guess they didn't take off to the Great White North. Sorry, reference from the old days. That's it for me. If you have any questions, all I want to add to this is, it's a smooth experience. It feels good to the hands. And I really wish it didn't have a thumb ball. I wish it had a finger ball because my fingers aren't arthritic. Thanks for watching, and have a great day. Yep. What do you call a store that sells only bagels and donuts? Whole Foods. Get it? Holes in the middle. Not my joke. That was an Amazon joke. Need to ask for your help. I'm sorry. On December 11th, 2024, Amazon terminated me and used false accusations against me. And on December 17th, I had my left shoulder operated on. I'm getting a lot better. I can do some things with my hand and my arm, but it's still pretty limited. If you could please help me out by liking, subscribing, sharing, commenting, and turning on notifications for my channels, that would really help. If you want to help me financially and you can afford to, you can go to my Glenn's Fast Reviews and you can do a super thanks as a donation there. If you want to donate on a monthly basis, you can become a member there. And or you can go to patreon.com/GLENNMII. So thank you for that. Also, I'd like to say thank you to bleepingcomputer.com for allowing me to post messages on their forum about my videos. Thank you so much. And don't forget to visit them. They offer a lot of wonderful resources for people who are using computers. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.